Okay, this is Freddy 59100, and I'm trying to get this camera straight here. Okay, anyway, I'm here today to talk about the squatches up on the cave area system that I made a video about a couple weeks ago, probably about 3 weeks ago now. And this area is in my research area back up in the mountains. That was the day I was back there, and I had two of them come up and watch me from inside the ridge. Okay, now I've been to the cave areas, and there is a system that goes from one side of the mountain on the ground to the other side. In other words, it goes from Augusta County into Nelson County, and it's big enough for them squatches to go through. I done checked it out and everything, and I do know that they're using that to go from one side of the mountain to the other without being seen. Now the area that I'm in was the area that I got zapped twice. Okay, yeah, they got me. I was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and I got a little too close, so they zapped me. Made my head, when I went up in my first area, my right side of my head hurt, and I had a rock thrown at me, and when I took and went around the other side of the ridge, I had my left side of my head hurt me. Just a little area, probably about that wide, or about that long, and about that wide strip on top of my head on the left side, that hurt. And the further back I went down that trail, the more my head started hurting. So I know they're there, and I know that there's a family of them. It might be two family groups living there. I'm not really sure, but anyway, it's in the Mill Creek, Kennedy Ridge area, and all the way over to Ball Mountain, from the coal roads all the way up top to the Blue Ridge Parkway on George Washington National Forest. Now, the reason for the video is I'm keeping records on how many I see, the way they act, the way they hide. The day I made that video up on that ridge, I saw the tree that the one went up, and the tree was shaking like this, and then when it got to the point and stopped, the tree just stopped, just dead. And you could see shiny black hair and face if you look. And right now, where I was at was on a cliff edge, sitting in front of a pine tree, and where he was at, it's probably about 50, 60, I'll say about 30 yards from me, but he was at least 35 to 40 foot up in that tree, holding on with his left arm and just hanging there up against another limb looking at me. And the one on the ground was laying on his right side looking up at me. You can see when the sun hit right, you can see the black shiny hair. So both of them were black, I know that. Now, as far as being a day watcher, it might have been one, might have been two of them. It could have been juveniles. I don't know. It could have been a female. I have no idea. But the bottom line is that I was being watched. And due to the weather and my Jeep breaking down, I really haven't had time to go out there. So today's Sunday, so tomorrow I'm going to go out there and I'm going to check the area out again, except I'm coming in from a different direction. And I'm gonna have some apples and maybe some peanut butter or something like that, and I'm just gonna start putting them around the cave area. Now, the only way to get into them caves, you gotta do a little rock climbing, probably about from where the creek is up to the entrance of the caves, or about 35 to 40 feet, maybe 50, if you want to push it. And I went on top of it, behind it, see if I can get in that way. There is one trail it goes right down to it, but you got to have practically billy goat feet to get to it. So I'm gonna see what I can do. I've already been there once, back years and years ago, and I never really thought about it and everything. This is one day during the summertime, me and some buddies was out goofing around. We was camping out there, and we found a cave system. We started bebopping through there, and we had to climb, to get to it. And we went through there. We went from one side of the mountain to the other side of the mountain, and I know exactly where it comes out at because We hunt that area. So that's a good point. So anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get up in there and I'm going to set some bait up. I'm going to set my parabolic up. I'm going to set my audio up. And depending on the weather and the wind, one reason why I haven't been out is because the wind has been like 35 to 40 miles an hour all day long. And it's been in the subs at night, and during the day it's been about 15 to 25 degrees. So I don't go in the woods when it's not, it's the cold that don't bother me, it's the wind. I can't hear them, they can't hear me, but they can definitely smell me if the wind's blowing that direction. And the way the wind's been blowing, it's been in a circle, swirling up on the ridge. So anyway, these squatches are very smart, very intelligent. They know how to, the lower brush is so thick up there, I have to get on my hands and knees just to get to it, but they can go through it with ease. So of course that's an animal. I've seen deer run through brush like this with a rack probably about 32 inches wide, and you never heard a sound. I've been in the apple orchard. I've had a knock come from behind me, 20, 30 some feet, and when I turned my head and looked and turned back around, I saw two juveniles bebopping from the left side, from the right side to me to the left side. You can see their head, and they ran, and it was just like straight. Didn't bother nothing. So I know I've been having experiences with them, you know, and they trust me, but they like playing games. That's something that you will find out in habitation areas, especially with the juveniles. They're curious, they'll follow you around, they'll throw a rock, or they'll take and tap sticks. Now, from what I understand, everybody says go out and knock on trees, and they'll answer you. Well, I found out, and I was listening to a video of a guy who, video was called Homoile or something like that, out in Oregon. It was a family of them over, and the way this guy described what these squatches were doing was basically the same thing that I've been seeing. What they do is when they hunt, like one's hunt high, one hunts low, and they try to get deer, you know, deer come through the middle, they'll knock to signal each other to where they're at and how they're going to do it. Now, it's just a theory. That's not fact, but if you think about it, let's say if me and a buddy of mine was out deer hunting, we didn't want to drive, but we wanted to get the deer together, we would either talk on walkie-talkies or we would knock on the trees. Same basis with the Bigfoot. They want to communicate to their buddies, saying like, hey, tap tap, like, hey, here comes one through here. You know, and they do different knocks, make different sounds, you know, whoop and all that crap, you know, signal each other. That's how I've been watching them around here. When I had those two boys from Maryland down here, we had two come within 60 foot of the camp, and all I heard was like a whoop, and you hear them chattering. And one took off to the left, one across the road, and the other one went right behind the camp. The reason we couldn't see them is we had tarp, 10 foot by 20 foot tarp all the way around the camp, and we had like a doorway open so we can get to and from, you know, like we're going to the bathroom or something like crap like that. But I had my parabolic dish, FLIR, but FLIR wasn't working at the time as usual with it. So they said, what was that? I said, those two squatches. And they said, what are they doing? I said, they're driving deer. Now, what I've noticed on the coal roads at nighttime from 1986, and what I learned about that female cross in front of me, is they do drives. And they got standards and everything, because that's what that female was doing. She come across the road, probably driving deer or going to a stationary spot to sit and wait for them to drive deer to them. And we just hadn't been sitting there, and all hell broke loose. Scared the crap out of it. We didn't know what the hell it was. But we heard it, and we hit the headlights after we heard it take off, and boom, it was an 8-foot female. And which was a good experience, you know. We told the game warden, and he, as usual, they said there's no such thing as a Bigfoot, as usual. So anyway, I do know that they drive, and they're driving into the field, and that's Kennedy Fields, and that's the field. The field that I'm at Kennedy Ridge, Kennedy Fields is at Kennedy Ridge, and that's where I'm starting to believe that's where the family groups are, because anywhere between Mill Creek and Kennedy Ridge, I'm getting all my action. And it's one of those spots that I found where I started baiting them back when I made that video in May. And that was the day watch me. I videoed, you couldn't see it, but I seen 6. And if you make a big enough screen, you can count 6, you know, if you really look hard. And, you know, you can see the big one's got, you know, the big day watch's got, it's got a white face, you know, and there was 3 there at the tree. There was a female and one behind her and a juvenile right next to her on the other side of the tree, and he was black. You could see the shiny black on him if you knew what you were looking at, which a lot of people really don't look. But we got these people out there who's saying, well, we're experts at Bigfoot. Well, considering that I'm not an expert, I'll tell anybody that. I'm still wanting to learn. I'm still learning. You got the BFRO. Oh, we're experts. No, you're not. Nobody's an expert, for the simple fact is that we are still learning about it. Yeah, people are using apes and using, oh, they're doing this, they're bipedal, you know, of course they are bipedal, you know, they're half human. But people say, oh, they do this like a monkey, they do that like a monkey, they're this, they're smart. Put it this way, they're intelligent. That's the bottom line, they're intelligent. When I go to my areas, they know I'm there before I get there, more or less term. They know what my Jeep looks like. They know what it sounds like. And my first area back in May, all I had to do was pull up, get out of the Jeep, shut the door, and boom. They were there knocking, waiting on me. And I've heard them. I've been walking there, you know, do tree knocks and everything, and I heard them go, walking around the corner, you heard, whoo, whoo, you know, but it sounded really rough. I've heard them imitate up at the apple orchard. I've heard the juveniles, or might have been adults, I don't know. But I heard one try to imitate a dove, screwed up. I heard another one on the other side of the orchard imitate an owl, screwed up. He had a screech in his voice, kind of hoo hoo, kind of like that. So I know that they imitate. Now, I do know I've heard coyotes, and I know what a coyote sounds like because I hunt them. Well, I'll hunt them during the season, that more or less terms, and I make money off of them when I have a chance. But I heard a pack of coyotes, and I heard the lead male and I heard the lead female. Then about a minute later, after they stayed about 8 or 9 of them, when they finished squalling, I heard something to my left, back up in the wood, back up in the mountain there, and it sounded like a coyote, but it was the worst sounding coyote I ever heard, so I'm assuming that was a squatch imitating. So we really don't know. But the bottom line is, I'm going to go out tomorrow, and I'm going to do my, I'm going to start my investigation in the cave system area, and I'm going to see what happens. And hopefully, if things work out the way I hope, I will get some reaction. It might be good, it might be bad, it might be aggressive, I don't know, but I'm going to find out and everything. So that's what's happening here right now. That's why no one's really heard from me lately, because of it. It's like it is up like out in Kentucky and Pennsylvania and New York and all that stuff. People, they're really not doing much right now due to the coldness and the wind. And plus, I just got my Jeep back on the road, you know, so that has a lot to do with it too. So anyway, like I said, I'm going to start my investigations tomorrow and really doing it, hopefully doing it good. And hopefully I'll get some good reaction, because I'm going to videotape to every damn bit of it. Okay, anyway, this is Freddy 59100, and go watch on, brother.